Hey, what's up everyone? This is Ill Factor from beatacademy.com. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you some music production tips while recreating the beat in Ariana Grande's Thank You Next. So let's dive right in. So first, I'm going to focus my attention over to the drum pattern that we hear throughout the verses and the chorus. So here's the drum pattern. Pretty straightforward. I'm using some sounds from my Beat Academy sample pack, which you can download for free. Just click the link below in the description box. Now, also when I'm hearing the reference record, we've got the foreground beat, which is what I like to call the kick and snare, the basic foreground beat. But then we also hear this filtered beat that's playing in the background that gives a really nice rhythm and texture to it as well. So I've created another drum rack here, loaded with some samples from the same sample pack. And what I've done is I've just created a pattern. And then what we're gonna do is filter this pattern and have it tucked under the foreground beat. So here's the pattern of these drums. And what we're gonna do is grab an auto filter, drag that over onto the drum rack. And we're gonna use a specific type of filter. And this is gonna be a bandpass. So what this is doing is it's eliminating the low end that you see here and the high end, and just focusing the attention in the midsection here. And we're gonna crank the filter drive so that we can boost up the gain. I'm gonna use the saturator plugin in Ableton Live 10, drag and drop right after the filter, and just give a little bit more drive. Cool. Now what I'm gonna do is search for a shaker loop to add a little bit more percussive element to this pattern. So I'm gonna go to my search finder here, just type in the word shaker, and go to auto results, and I'll use this loop here. Just drag and drop that into my session, and move that right next to the drum rack. Now I want the shaker to also be affected with the same filter. So what I'm gonna do is just shift, highlight these two tracks, and Command G to group them together. And now I can go in and remove both the filter and the saturator, drag and drop them onto the group instead, so that it affects both the new drum rack and the shaker loop. So let's just go ahead and see what that sounds like. Let's audition this. Cool. Now let's go ahead and put that together with the foreground beat. Might want to go a little bit higher in frequency. Cool. Now let's go ahead and focus on putting in the 808. So the 808 pattern is pretty straightforward. Let me go ahead and play that for you. So what I've done here is I'm using an instrument that I've created. This is also included in the sample pack that I've mentioned earlier before. You can click the link below to download this, but this is an 808 sample ran through some processing here. So we've got amp simulator, some compression, an EQ to just take out some of that harmonic distortion that we're adding from the amp simulator. And then I've got a compressor at the end here. And what we're gonna do is set the side chain from the Beat Academy kit, and make sure that the kick drum is allowing the bass to duck out of the way when it performs. Cool. Now let's focus our attention on the chords, and that's the main thing that catches our attention when the record starts. Now, focusing on the sound, it definitely leans more towards an electric piano, Rhodes, or Cher, things like that. And that's, I'm just gonna walk you through the ear training process and when I hear a sound and how I go about recreating it. I'm not necessarily trying to dial in the same exact patch or preset that the producer used. So I'm gonna be using a Rhodes sound to start off with, and I'm using this from Ableton Live's electric instrument. And we're going with the key chords preset. And so Now what we're gonna do is use a feature that's inside Ableton Live to detect the harmonic chord structure of the reference record and help that kind of guide the foundation of what we should be playing chord-wise. So here I have the actual audio, the original sample here of the first record. So what I'm gonna do is just highlight the intro in the beginning. I'm not gonna play it so that this video won't get taken down, but I am going to click and drag this audio over to the electric keys channel. And then we have this convert audio to MIDI prompt that comes up. And so what we're trying to do is get the harmonic structure down, the chords. We're playing multiple notes. So I'm going to use the harmony feature. I'm going to click that, and it's going to convert the audio into MIDI. Now what we do is you might have to comb through it and take out a couple of the notes that it might catch, but let's just give it a first listen and see what we have. Now, it's catching a couple of different artifacts, but for the most part, that's really cool. Captured the timing, all the different intricate changes. So now what I'm doing is just clean this up a little bit, get rid of some of the little artifacts or notes that it caught that don't necessarily need to be there. So I've gone through the MIDI clip, deactivated some notes that didn't belong there, and fixed the timing. So this is what we have. I'm now going to duplicate this keys track by hitting Command D. So it's the same preset, same sound, and we're going to remove the MIDI clip, and I'm just going to play the lead line on top of the chords here. So. Just added a nice little happy sparkle there at the end. I'm going to treat this as one instrument, so I'm going to group the two. Just shift, highlight both of them, and hit Command G. And this is going to group them. Now we're going to work on shaping the sonic texture of this sound. So let's solo the keys. And immediately when I hear the reference, it's definitely got that chorusy underwater vibe. So I'm going to head straight for the chorus, head over to my audio effects, and look for a chorus and drag and drop that. Cool. Maybe tamper a little bit with the feedback to give some of that wobble. So it sounds like it's actually like the pitch is detuning and it actually sounds like the electric piano itself is being detuned. So that's really cool. Let's add a little bit of grit to that. And for that, I'm going to use the pedal in Ableton Live. So I'm going to click and drag the pedal, but I'm going to put it before the chorus. I don't want it to affect the actual chorus sound. So let's see what it sounds like. I might want to scale back the dry and wet a little bit. Cool. Now let's add some of that noise or that tape noise that we hear in the actual reference. And for that, I'm going to use a third-party plugin. So I'm going to head over to my Waves bundle, and I'm going to be using the Kramer tape emulator. And so this is emulating a tape machine, and we have a noise knob right here. So I'm going to just crank that all the way. Got that nice noise now, and increase a little bit of the wow and flutter to give a little bit more, to accentuate that detuning. So let's go ahead and group these plugins and bypass them. It just adds so much character to that sound. So it's really cool. So let's turn that on and see what it sounds like with everything else. And now I want to layer the bass and add some grit to that sound so that it's actually noticeable. When I hear the record, there's almost like this distorted saw bass that also has some pitch bending going on. So let's go ahead and use Ableton Live's wavetable for that. Just click, drag right into our session view. And I'm going to just hold down the Option key and highlight the 808 and drag that over to that track. That way it copies the same bass line. What I'll do is make sure I highlight everyone, Command A, and by holding Shift and my down key, it'll drop it a whole octave. And now what we'll do is choose the waveform to work with. So let's go from sine over to saw. And we want to make sure we go from polyphonic to monophonic. That way the notes don't overlap once they go from one note to the next. And let's just trim down the filter frequency with the first filter, adding some drive. And we'll turn on the second filter here and eliminate some of that low end so that the 808 can kind of breathe and do its thing. Maybe just go from saw to, maybe we just actually have to drop it down a whole nother octave. So I'll go to semitones, -12. And turn the sum harmonic oscillator. All right, now what we're gonna do is inside the actual clip itself, is add a second note, and this note is the one that's gonna have the pitch bend to it. So we're gonna open up our envelope window and choose MIDI control. And in here, it's gonna set to pitch bend. What we'll do is just put a marker halfway through that note and one marker after the note and a marker at the end. I put the marker after so that it'll snap right back to neutral pitch or 0. And then I'll just pitch it down. It might be a little bit too fast. And let's just try going back a whole nother octave. So I'll go to the transpose. And have that layered with the 808. And it adds just a little buzz sitting on top of that 808 bass line so that it's just heard, kind of cuts through a little bit on the mix. Well, hey, thanks for watching. I hope this video was helpful, encouraging, and there was a couple tips here that you could use in your productions. And so as my gift to you for watching this video, I'd love to send you the sample pack with some of the drum sounds that you heard in this video, and it's yours absolutely free. Just click the link below in the description box. This comes with construction kits, loops, one-shots, transition effects, and they're 100% royalty free. That means that you can use them in your projects and share the music with the rest of the world. So go ahead, click the link below, or you can visit www.beatacademy.com/pack and download your sample pack today. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.